HubSpot CRM is one of the best out there for capturing and tracking inbound marketing and sales leads. We've used them extensively at Webflow. But how do we capture leads from a form on our site and bring them into HubSpot so we can track the sales process with customers who fill out a form? We'll cover two things. We'll create a Zap. This is the thing that captures a form submission in Webflow and automatically creates a new contact, a new lead in HubSpot. And then we'll test it to make sure it's working perfectly. First part. We'll start on Zapier, or for Shannon, Zapier, and we'll make a new Zap. What is a Zap? Nobody really knows, but it works like this. We have a trigger event and a result. When this happens, that's the trigger event, do something. That something is the result. So we have a Webflow site, and the trigger event is going to be grabbing that form submission. We want to use submissions on that form to trigger this whole thing. So how do we set that up? We connect it to our account. If you haven't set up Zapier before, you'll be prompted to connect your Webflow account. But once you do that, you'll see the option to select your site. This is your project in Webflow. And you'll see the form name. If you have multiple forms, you can choose the one you want from the dropdown. Now, what if it says this? Or for any reason, what if the form isn't showing up? Two important things you need for this to show up properly. The form name in the Webflow Designer. You can get to this by opening the form settings. The form name needs to match whatever it is you're selecting in Zapier from the dropdown there. And the second thing you need to have, the form needs to have at least one submission, a test submission. You can do this by going into your project, if you haven't already, and publishing. Then pretending you're a real human, like Miguel. After you do that, you can refresh in Zapier and your form should show up. And of course, Zapier will prompt you to test and review this part. Let's do that really quick. And once we do, we'll see a sample form submission. Okay, let's move on from that and continue so we can finish this step, because all that's needed here, we just have to quickly add the result. This is what happens when a form submission is triggered. We want to connect to HubSpot CRM. And we want a very specific result here. Zapier calls it an action event. We want a form submission to create or update our contact. Now, if you have multiple HubSpot accounts, make sure you're selecting the right one. Make sure you're selecting the account connected to the website you're wanting to integrate. A good way to verify this, check that the account numbers match. This is what's technically referred to by HubSpot as a Hub ID. But we want to make sure there's a match between this field in Zapier and from the dropdown in HubSpot. If they don't match, or this part isn't working correctly, reach out to Zapier, and they can help you get this properly configured. Okay, before continuing, here's a disclaimer. This next part looks like a lot. That's because it is. But in reality, it's very straightforward, and we're not going to be using most of it. Okay, here we are. Lots of fields. But all we really need to do is link the ones in our Webflow form to the ones we see here. All we're doing is connecting each of the fields we see here in Zapier to the form fields we already have in Webflow. If we want to add a new form field to Webflow, we can. We'll just update it here. Now, you can test and review here too, and that'll send a sample contact, a fake contact, right to HubSpot. Of course, the last step when we're ready is to continue and actually activate the Zap itself. To verify this, make sure the one we just created is switched on. This is also a good time to change the name of your Zap from Name Your Zap to something more creative, like Zap Name. That's it. That's step one. And now for testing, how do we do this? All we have to do is pretend we're an actual lead. And we'll fill out a sample submission on our published site, the one we connected to from Zapier. When we submit the fake form submission, we'll go over to HubSpot and make sure the contact information shows up there. Now, there might be a bit of a delay. And if it doesn't show up, like we said before, reach out to Zapier directly, and they can help you get this process properly configured. But that's capturing new contacts, new leads from a Webflow form and passing them to HubSpot.